and they're always like, down and out about their hair.
I'm begging anybody out there, before you go and get surgery, before you walk into these hair club system places, I'm telling you right now, I am $20,000 in the hole, and 10 years of stress, the last 3, an absolutely horrifying existence of stress and pain. And I can promise you, the stress of this hairpiece is 1,000 times more than I would have ever felt if I had just been confident with who I am, dealt with the fact that these are the cards I've been dealt, and deal with them, and just shave my head. And honestly, like Spencer said, not everyone's there, but that's where I'm at.
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727. Like the man said, my name is Spencer Kobren, and this is our little internet broadcast / podcast, The Bald Truth. Welcome to the show. Excuse me. I am live from Los Angeles. My partner in crime, my trusty sidekick, is live from the Space Shuttle Olympus in Vancouver, British Columbia. Let's welcome to the show my friend and yours, Mr. Joe Tillman.
Thank you.
Joe, I love the new setup, by the way. It is. Let's show everybody in full screen if I can make that happen, which I should have been able to, but I don't have it set. I love your monitors, meaning your speakers. Everyone thinks monitors are, but in radio, those are monitors.
Yes.
And it makes all the difference in the world when it comes to dealing and setting up your studio, listening to your sound, and kind of creating the real quality that you want to put out there online.
Well, it also helps with my video editing because I do a lot of editing of my own videos and videos of doctors I work with, and it really helps to have that greater dynamic range, so I can really hear what I'm doing, and like there's some small details, but it's cool. It's a nice evolution of TBT North up here.
It looks great, and your sound is incredible. So I like your mixer. I like everything that you've done to upgrade everything. It's great, really great. And these guys don't notice that shit.
No,
it takes a lot of work. I have to point it out. So mazel tov and all that. The phone number again, 888-659-3727. We're live, so if you want to contact us, we do this program twice a week. Live, so you can call us and ask your questions. If we don't receive phone calls at any point during the program, we go home. Now, I happen to be home, but I'll go out, get some drinks, enjoy myself a little bit. Not that we don't love being here, but that's the way the show runs. If for some reason we don't get calls or calls stop, then
we stop.
We're not just going to vamp. Phone number is 888-659-3727, and as soon as I said not going to vamp, lights went off. Guys, you were just holding on, so call in. We'll talk a little bit about some of the interesting happenings in the field today. Listen, the vast majority of you guys who are calling in, obviously you are dealing, some of you are in the initial throes of hair loss. And by the way, if you don't know who I am, and I just came on here talking, and you're viewing or listening to this program for the first time, I am the founder of the American Hair Loss Association. I am the founder of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. Also happen to be the author of The Bald Truth and The Truth About Women's Hair Loss, the two most read volumes on prevention and treatment of hair loss in the world. Now, I say that so not to pimp my books or to pimp out, the organizations, but these are vital parts of my credentials. These are my credentials. I am not some guy just coming online telling you that I know everything about this industry because I read about it or learned about it on YouTube or read about it on the internet. Joe and I have been in the trenches. I've been doing this for more than 20 years. Joe has been doing this for 15 or some odd years from different perspectives. And we have decided to join forces, so to speak, in many aspects, to provide you guys with the most well-rounded education and information about everything and anything hair loss that frankly exists in this field. Nothing like this exists. I'm not just saying this to pat myself on the back. It's just the reality of hair loss education in the 21st century. It is fucked up. It is dangerous. It is a scary place to be. You cannot trust, in my view, not only a lot of stuff that's happening online, but, you know, even some of the mainstream medical websites are being fed a bunch of bullshit. The organizational websites out there, they're not really educating you. They're providing you with maybe some, I don't know, position statements and some very basic information and a, you know, search for a surgeon, surgeon near me.
Let's be honest about this, okay? What they're doing is they're pimping themselves out, trying to give out useless information so that for some strange, twisted reason, they think that that's going to give them some sort of validity in the eyes of the consumer, when in fact it gives the consumer laughing points. Follicle Friday.
Look, you're being very cruel right now, but yes.
Well, I feel like it because I'm tired of it. It's like I was saying this before we went on air. Who wastes money with a social media campaign? I even hate saying that. A social media campaign for Follicle Friday when you inform consumers about how fast your fucking hair grows. Who cares?
Look, the reality is, and I say this all the time, there are, these are learned people, obviously. I mean, they're educated people, They've been able to get through medical school somehow, because sometimes when I talk to some of these guys, I don't even know how that even happened. But there are some really smart people who are in this field. Most of them happen to work with us. But in general, there's a huge difference between being educated, being learned, and being qualified. And frankly, these guys are completely unqualified when it comes to them trying to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. That's it. I have given them the opportunity to work with us, and I will still give that opportunity is still there. But we are moving forward now. That's it. Consumers are being harmed every single day. They don't know which way is up. This organization, I mean, when we first started to talk about this initiative was, 5, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, 8 months ago? I don't remember when Mejia contacted me the first time. And nothing has been accomplished. What we've been able to accomplish in a month and a half is staggering compared to what they've been not able to do. And the thing is, they don't even know what we've done.
Exactly.
They don't even understand it. So for you consumers out there, we are creating a safer environment for all of you. Just know that. In the meantime, continue to listen to this broadcast. Continue to find our resources. Continue to always consider surgery as a last resort. Always know that when you are looking up where to get a hair transplant or, basic information about surgical hair restoration, there are some great devices out there, even some of these turnkey devices, but they are only as good as the hands that wield them.
TM. That's mine.
Yeah, period. That's what it is. There are a bunch of doctors who are fighting to control this field. They don't want to see techs involved. But then there are a bunch of techs who are doing some really incredible, providing a really incredible service under the auspices of doctors who don't know what the fuck they're doing. So without those techs, patients will be fucked. So absolutely. They are, the whole thing is just nuts.
I think of our friend RoboCop in Honolulu. Hawaii.
Yes.
He went into, and for listeners and viewers that aren't familiar with, what's his name? It was, what's his screen name? I forgot.
I forget his name.
God, I forgot. Anyway, maybe Rob in the room can help us out. But he went into a local office in Honolulu to, I think he's a plastic surgeon, and he was given the complete description of what's going to happen. But the problem was none of it happened. He was supposed to go in for a hair transplant, and he expected 100% that the doctor that he had the consultation with, and at least the doctor did his own consultation, but he thought that the doctor that did the consultation was actually going to do the surgery. Guess what? He did sweet fuck all. Nothing. I don't think he made the hairline. But two technicians were flown in from Los Angeles, and they did the entire procedure.
And they actually did a great job.
They actually did a great job.
Now, here's the thing. If that doctor, whether he's a board-certified plastic surgeon, whoever he was, if he would have performed Warren, if he would have performed that hair transplant, Warren would have been fucked. So where are we going with this? Am I stating that doctors should be aiding and abetting the practice of medicine without a license? No.
No.
Am I saying that technicians who are unlicensed medical assistants should be performing surgery? No. But you guys created this model. This is a 30-year-old model. You led the path for this. So all of a sudden you want to take it away and leave patients, more patients than ever before, high and dry, to go to physicians who have absolutely no time on tissue, or PAs who have zero time on tissue because it's quote-unquote legal, when we don't even know what the legal parameters are.
No one does.
They don't exist. Well, I can't say that. They do to some degree, but they have not been
applied.
Well, not just applied, but they haven't necessarily been distinguished from, it's more of a institutional law as opposed to criminal or civil. So because it's institutional law, because it really is based on what the state medical boards say, it is really a kind of an odd, I can't even think of the word, an opposition to be in. It is not written in stone, so to speak. So I think that these doctors who are concentrating on this need to concentrate on one thing. Let's figure out a way to make sure patients are getting the best possible results. If that means training technicians, training doctors to understand the nuances of this surgery, then that's what it's going to have to be. Or giving it some time, training enough doctors and PAs and nurses to be truly skilled at this procedure. And then eventually, having technicians perform what they were always performing in surgical hair restoration. That's, maybe cutting grafts under microscopes, refining grafts, and implanting grafts. And then everyone's happy. But this turnkey model, technicians doing surgery, that is not the enemy. You know what your enemy is, people? Fucking apathy, laziness, your inability to have foresight, your inability to recognize that we fucked up. And now the floodgates are open. 888
has left the barn.
Yeah, 888-659-3727. Hold on. I'm being summoned. And I'm trying to figure out who this is. Sure.
I will also interject and say that if you're listening from the UK or Europe, and you can call a UK number, the secondary number is 0203 3724 683. Back to you.
Yeah, guys, feel free to call in 888-659-3727. We had all lines lit for about 4 minutes, and then they dropped. So you call in right now, you will get in. And again, if you don't call, we go home. That's
I'm in the mood for a surgical question. Someone call and ask me about surgery.
Yeah, and I'm looking at our numbers on TBT and our other resources, and we have a lot of listeners. Let me see your site, and we got some good numbers on your stream too. Yep. So guys, feel free to call in. But yeah, I mean, this is the way that I feel. This ship could be turned around. We have the ability to make it happen. The old guard either has to let go or they have to just move the fuck out of the way. Now, I don't think they're going to move out of the way. So they're just going to have to stand there and be knocked down. And it's not what I want to do. Believe me, I was talking to somebody at the EC yesterday, and I said, look, I don't want to even fucking do this. Doctors are coming to me. They want help. They want to be able to provide a better service to their patients. They also don't want to lose patients to these complete novices. You're not helping them. I don't want to I just want to continue on with my life and eventually retire. And now I'm being burdened with all this bullshit because I have a conscience. And you know what this guy said to me?
What?
I swear to God, I am so tired of those people.
He said that?
His exact words. No one's going to know who I spoke to, but that's what he said. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer. It's Dr. Charles calling.
Hey, Dr. Charles. How are you?
Dr. Charles.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
You know what? Just chilling. I don't know if you heard the opening of the program, but, if you did, I'd love to know what your thoughts are.
I've only been on for like the last 10 minutes. I'm driving. I got a little bit of a drive in the car, and I saw the link, and I'm like, oh, I'll go on live and listen. And then I
that's awesome.
Called to make sure I could still get on, and just want to kind of chime in. And obviously, there's the group chat that's going on, and there's a lot of talk, and there's definitely some rumblings going on within our industry right now, and it's something that's been long overdue.
I think it's actually exciting.
Yeah, I think it's exciting because I think something's going to maybe happen in the right direction, and it's really supposed to be meant for better results for patients. That's what it's all about.
Right.
The whole thing is about people not getting harmed, and I mean that could mean good things for certain doctors who are good doctors, and they're getting business taken away by novice clinics and novice doctors or non-doctors or whatnot. But the reality of it is our industry is going to maintain a better image if we start cranking out better results on a more regular basis, and there's less botch jobs and bad jobs and unhappy people.
Well, your industry right now is it's in a free fall, and
I know that.
Yeah, and there are those out there that are doing whatever they can for whatever reason, who claim to be caring, leaders in this field who really care about the profession and their colleagues and physicians and patients who are doing whatever they can to stop this campaign. And for the life of me, I cannot fully understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are some people that just they're always the kind of people that are going to never want to get involved. They may see a crime, but they're like, no, I'm not going to report it. They're just like, being quiet's better off, and they don't want to put their foot down and make themselves known, out of sight, out of mind type of attitude.
Well, that's bad enough. That apathy is bad enough. But what about the guys who are out there actually actively taking a stand and saying, hey, you can't do this? People who are picking up the phone and telling people not to go to certain meetings because they will not be accepted in the big organization, meaning that they'll be.
Yeah, and I haven't heard that. Yeah, he's trying to say that some people are getting threatened that if they show up at one of these one of the newer meetings that we're talking about having that's not non ISHRS.
Yes.
Like the FUE Europe conference in Manchester coming up in June. That these people who attend that could get flack at the ISHRS conference.
A young physician essentially was emotionally extorted. And, this physician said, well, really, I don't give a shit. I want to be connected to the IHRS and FU Europe. He believes that's the winning horse, but he relayed the story.
It's bad that there has to be two horses. Granted, I think the ISHRS has dropped the ball over the last few years, but they have done some good things in the past. They got this whole hair transplant thing organized together. There's been a lot of good things that they've done over the years too.
I agree, and that's my whole point. If you read my posts, I keep essentially just saying, look, let's figure this out. We need to collaborate. This is not a competition. The ISHRS can do wonderful things and do greater things than ever, and I can help them grow.
And I think when they first started, it was really to say, well, this is kind of a new field. Why don't we educate each other? Why don't we get the guys who are doing it together and start, banging our minds together and sharing some of the discoveries we're making with different processes and different types of surgeries and different techniques. And let's make this whole thing better. I think that's how it started.
It's exactly how
over the years it changed, obviously. And
believe me, Dowstow while he
only wanted everyone to do good hair transplants, because back then there wasn't as many people. Obviously, there was no competition, but the original whole thought process behind the ISHRS was education of the doctors for better surgery, for better results. That's the whole reason it started.
I have to tell you,
what it's all about now? Now it's very political, and there's the old boys club, and I've kind of been through the whole thing, and I try to stay, very non-political, and I just do my own thing. I'm very involved with my family, and I try to, but I also want things to go in the right direction for the future and the future of this field. And I am concerned about the patients, and I am concerned that I'm seeing a lot of patients coming with poorly done work. Now, it's one thing, Spencer. All the docs who've been doing surgery long enough, you get some cases that don't come out great.
Right.
And often you can't put your finger on why it happened or why it didn't come out great. There's no answer. The surgery went perfectly. There's no complication in the surgery. There's no post-operative complications. The patient had no complaints during the recovery. And there's just not great growth. So this can happen. But that doesn't necessarily mean that was done by poor technique. Now, it's another thing we see someone that had very average density to begin with, and someone tried to do 3,000 FUEs on them. They got 200 hairs that grew, and the whole back of their head is destroyed.
Look, and that is actually the norm now. This is the new normal of your field. So, and I think you make a very good point. I want the ISHRS to thrive and to not only to survive, but to thrive. I want them to understand that if we come together and use their numbers with what we have to offer, we could change this field pretty quickly. And there is
very quickly. And these two entities almost be working in conjunction with each other, because the purpose should be the same.
And it is. I believe that it is. In their minds, at least from what I'm told and the way they've treated me and sadly Joe as well, in their minds, we are the enemy. I don't know if you read my Facebook post today.
Like you're trying to start something that's going to be bigger and better than they are.
Well, what I started, I
just don't get it.
Yeah, I always worked alongside you guys. I always wanted to keep my head down, do my thing, do my show. Everyone who's part of the IHRS for years, like yourself, it was a lot more, and I tried to explain it to everybody, but some guys never really got it. But it wasn't about lead generating. It was about we're supporting each other's message. And all of you guys who've supported us for the last 20 years, that support has changed more lives than you could ever change in your own practice. I mean, your support and the support of all of our membership has really helped so many people.
Right.
That's what I focused on.
I've been with you for 20 years, close to 20 years.
Yeah.
And even back when you were starting up the IHRS, and there were some competitors,
Controversy.
Pat Hennessy site.
Yeah.
There's the other site that was, had doctors' listings, and they weren't the same exact concept. I still never heard you say anything bad about them, because you still realize that as long as they're educating people too, then there can be two of us.
And that's how I always felt.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of people out there that need information. Two resources of information it can be better than one.
Absolutely.
So,
and
I've always respected you for that. I've never ever heard you say one bad word about what then was your main competitor, or what people assumed was your competitor.
Right.
You might not have thought of it that way, but you never thought of just like trying to tear someone else down to make whatever you're involved with look better.
Well, I think that in the end, I always thought of the long game. In the end, that never works. In the end, that people do eventually see through that facade. And what is happening, again, this is inside baseball, guys, but you need to know this if you're considering surgery. What is happening now in the field is there's just so much political bullshit that people, I don't even think the ISHRS can concentrate on really doing what they need to do. They're so fucking worried about, what we're doing or what John Cole is doing, what FUE Europe is doing, what Spencer Kobren is doing. All Spencer Kobren and Joe Tillman are doing are helping patients. What is so wrong with that? So that's it, So my goal is to still.
You're not asking people to, stop being members of the other society. At least I haven't heard anything. I'm not quite getting.
It would never be.
There might be some stuff that I'm missing.
I would actually, when doctors come to me, guys who have like neografts or smart grafts, and all these guys contact me, and Joe has seen this. Well, I don't know if Joe's seen the database, but
how many people over the years you must have directed to hey, go to the ISHRS meeting, go to the beginners workshops. You want to learn how to do it?
Hundreds.
How many people have you directed to the ISHRS?
Hundreds. I actually just directed over 250 in the last 6 months. The guys who applied to me who were
not even patients. I'm even talking doctors. People.
Oh no, these are doctors. I said you have to be a member of the ISHRS before you can even apply to what I do. I said, you need to learn.
Obviously, you had respect for that organization, because otherwise you wouldn't have that as a prerequisite.
These guys, but they don't believe it. I'm sitting in front of guys like Arthur Tykerzinski and Ricardo Mejia, who I didn't even understand that dude. And they look at us, and the way they speak to Joe, it's mind-boggling. So I put a post online today, and I basically discussed and I think it's a very compelling analogy. And if you don't know the story of Netflix and Blockbuster, Netflix.
I did see that you compared that,
and that
was a great analogy.
And that is the reality of what will happen, and it has nothing to do with me. If we don't move forward, your field falls apart, and every future patient is in harm's way. Am I supposed to just sit there?
A lot of good doctors' practices get harmed by it too, obviously.
Right. So I should just sit there and wait for them to give us permission or to say, yes, we'll finally work with you. I can't do it. I've given them about 2 years.
Right.
So that's how I feel about it.
Obviously, I'm not on the boards of these things. I don't know. I'm not privy to the conversations that have gone on between you and the boards of these other organizations.
Well, Joe, I think Joe should chime in because Joe is privy, and Joe has actually spoken to these guys at length.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if you're aware of this, but some members of the BOG approached me about working with them, taking over actually their social media campaign, and that in and of itself was like pulling teeth. And granted, they talk, they told me up front, it takes a long time to get things done. Great, I understand that, but there was a fundamental disconnect on perception, and it was really frustrating. But during this last meeting in Los Angeles, I was invited. The executive committee thought I was going to be in Los Angeles for the meeting. I didn't plan on going because they try to keep me out of the previous meetings. But I actually got an invitation this time, which is pretty nice. But I was invited to, along with Spencer, to the executive committee meeting in Los Angeles, and they wanted to talk to us about quote unquote working on their social media ideas. And I stayed up here in Vancouver, but they piped me in through a video feed. Spencer went there, and right off the bat, it was, why are you guys attacking us? Why is John Cole so antagonistic? And it was just this completely useless information. It was a waste of time. And then eventually, I think it was about half an hour into this, then the idea about their present campaign came up, which was this black market skull and crossbones nonsense. And Spencer and I told them point blank. We'd already been telling them, but we told them point blank, not a good idea. And it was like beating our heads against brick walls.
Well, when I tried to explain to them, and Victoria, who, by the way, she is jacked. I couldn't believe it when I saw her in person, man. This lady really trains. But
yeah, no, she's a really nice lady too.
You know what? I have to tell you, I think that if it wasn't for all the nonsense she was fed about me over the years, we'd get along really well. I liked her. But, besides that, so we're talking, I'm saying, look, you guys are putting yourselves in the crosshairs. This is a very dangerous campaign. besides being amateurish, you guys are you're dealing with criminals, okay? And to put that out there the way that you're putting it out there, you're putting all of you, everyone in the BOG in the crosshairs, trying to explain to them about the online world and how things work. And Ken Washenek's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think this is a terrible idea, or I think this is a misstep. And did you drop your phone, Doc?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're going on a tangent here, but the reality is we have done everything we possibly can to help these people. Now, the good news is they're deciding not to go in that direction. And the good news is, I've gotten Sharon Keene's ear, and she has told me that, she believes that, what I am preaching is right. She actually asked me on the phone, she goes, why isn't the ISHRS using your content? And I'm like, that's a good question, because I offered it to them for no licensing fee, free of charge, to use on their websites and on all of their social media. And the only reason they don't want to do that is because they don't want to give us any credibility, I guess, in their minds. And that's the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah,
so,
that's very crazy. And now Sharon is she like on the board right now? Is she like a vice president?
She's the past president.
Oh, she's the past president.
Yeah.
That's right.
So she definitely has their ear, and she has been she's been lovely with me, and she's said so many times, she believes I was right about your legal counsel. I'm right about the way you guys are handling the issues with nonprofit and lobbying. I was right about and it's not that I need to be right. It's just it's common sense. I've been through this. I've been in this business for a long time and in other businesses, and the counseling and all the information that you guys are getting is just it's just false information. Whoever is providing this information is basically hamstringing you guys as far as what you can and cannot do as a nonprofit. The fact that you have to work within a bureaucratic system, which you do not. You don't. You guys could all work together. There doesn't have to be a boss or a president or a vice president or any of that bullshit. No voting, none of that. You could set.
Part of that is some of the the original group of docs who started that process, and
you know what? It's failing.
People really feel like
nix it and just say, look, we're going to set up committees. You guys are going to all have jobs, and you're going to have to fulfill them, and that's it. If you want to participate, you guys work on the internet. You guys do this. No voting. Just get the jobs done, and that's the way you got to run it. You got to run it like a business. So anyway, I
don't want to comment too much on that because I'm not really involved in it, and I don't know the ins and outs. I know how I feel about what I'm seeing out there and where I'd like our field and what direction I'd like our field to go in. But I don't want to get caught in the crosshairs. I just can say that I don't see why these two entities would not be related together in some way. Because there should be a common goal, and that I don't understand.
Well, what I would like to do at some point, and I'm going to keep trying, but I want the past presidents of the ABHRS and the past presidents of the ISHRS and all the guys who believe in what we're doing. Maybe we can put something together and send it to these guys, and at least give them one last chance to help save the field.
I think that's a great idea. I'm one of the past presidents of the ABHRS, and I just am willing to sit down on a conference call or however you do it and see if we can come up with a reasonable way to try and allow these two entities to coexist and to back each other.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be. I think the conference call is, again, that's just another the thing that these committees do. We put something in writing. Everyone signs. It's almost like a petition.
Yeah, but even that. You just put something in writing and have everyone look at it, have a certain amount of time to comment or agree to it or disagree to it,
right.
and just see what happens.
Absolutely.
Action you've taken. You have another discussion that's like, okay, well, now 2 months from now, maybe we'll write something up. I think you just need to make it happen.
All right. Well, we will. And Dr. Charles, by the way, anyone who's actually considering surgical hair restoration who is in South Florida or anywhere in the United States or elsewhere who wants a good doctor who really cares about what he's doing, who's been doing this forever. I'm not saying that you're old. I think you're younger than me, but
I started when I was only 15, so don't forget that.
That's right. That is right.
What?
He started when he was 15. I was 30 and he was 15 when he started. But yeah. So
okay.
But check out Dr. Charles. Go to IHRS.org. You can find his profile there. You can contact him with any questions. I know you give a lot of time to your patients and your online consultations, Doc. And I heard a lot of good things about that.
I actually offer advice to even patients that are going to other doctors. I mean, I'm very open. I do a lot of emails. I get all kind of emails from other people that have been somewhere else or thinking about somewhere else. And I don't say bad things about other doctors. Never have and never will. I will give my advice as to what I think would be a proper course of action for that particular patient. And I always maybe recommend saying, hey, never hurts to get a couple different opinions.
Sure.
It never hurts. I would never discourage someone that's in my office coming for a consultation not to go anywhere else for a consultation. I think that's a good idea. I think if you're confident enough in your abilities and you're truthful enough in what can be done for the patient will come back.
Absolutely.
So I think you offer that. I think if you discourage people from going other places and downplay other people, it doesn't really help your situation. I think
that's a great lesson, and that's one of the things that I made a staple of my patient interaction when I was with Victor and Jerry and Hussein, and I think it's really refreshing to hear a doctor say that. So thank you, Dr. Charles, for what you do and for having that kind of that right attitude.
And also, by the way, I do have a lot of content that we still haven't gotten out, and I've had Dr. Charles last month here in the studio, and we recorded some good stuff. So we're going to be putting that out.
Okay, good. Let me know when that's coming out. I'll try and log back on, or kind of call back in next Tuesday and. Maybe we talk about getting a little committee together within your group now to put something in writing.
Absolutely. We'll make it happen.
I like it.
Okay, buddy.
All right,
take care,
Doc.
guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. Guys, sorry for the inside baseball, but you know what? This is information that most consumers would never be privy to. And sadly, what's happening in the industry ultimately affects you. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Trevor from New Jersey.
Trevor from New Jersey. Welcome to the show.
Trevor.
How are you, man?
Hey, I'm good. So this is my second time calling the show.
Welcome.
Just to jog your memory a little bit, the first time I called you guys, I told you that I've been deciding whether or not to take finasteride for the past 3 years.
All right. I think I remember that.
Yes. So I definitely have an update for you.
All right.
I decided to start taking topical finasteride.
All right. And when did you start taking it?
About a month ago.
Or I should say applying it.
Good point.
Yeah. So how do you feel?
Good correction. I feel fine. Nothing has really changed.
All right. Well,
okay.
That's pretty normal for the first month of taking any drug.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the fact that you're using it topically is, obviously there's a much slimmer chance of having any adverse side effects, or at least the ones that you're concerned about. So that's good.
Yeah, okay. So how long usually does it take before people start noticing them?
Side effects?
Yes.
Oh, in my world, in the real world, meaning of the thousands of guys that have contacted us over the years, it's usually pretty immediate. It's usually within the first week, for sure.
Oh.
So, sometimes it's 2 weeks, but that is unusual. I have heard of cases online, of course, of guys who have been on it they're on it for 15 years, and all of a sudden they are reporting side effects. That's pretty unusual, and I don't know if that's psychosomatic or not. But I would say once you get past your first week, you're pretty clean. I don't know, Joe. You let me know what you think.
My standard response when people would be asking me this question would be, if you don't have any sort of issues after 2 weeks, then you're probably good for the long stretch. Yeah. Not a doctor, but that's just from my experience working with patients.
We're both not doctors. I would tell you, in my case, my balls started to ache within 3 days. So I popped those pills, and all of a sudden, it was like I was kicked in the balls. So my adverse side effects, what they were, happened very quickly, and then they dissipated very quickly also.
So, when I called, I remember Yeah, you told me that I was a wreck over this, and I really was. I'd been for 3 years straight, and the hair loss had just gotten to a point where there was basically an ultimatum. Like I basically looked in the mirror and said, "It's now or never," because it just seemed like it just started to speed up like crazy at one point, and like even now, obviously, like a month later, I'm not going to see anything, right? Any results?
Of course.
Yeah.
No.
It's definitely going to take you some time. I mean, you may on the rare if you're an outlier when it comes to results, you may see something in 3 months. You may see something in 4 months. I think I was at one of the rare outliers where I started to notice some significant, but I was also taking oral finasteride, significant changes in about 3 months. And that's what I wrote about in the first Bald Truth. And that's what really gave me, inspired me and really motivated me to do what I do. But that's rare. You know, after being in this game for such a long time, I've known guys who literally have been on the drug for a year, and then they just start to notice, hey, wait a second, maybe I do have less hair loss, or maybe my hairline looks a little bit better, or the crown is closing in. I didn't notice it.
That was my situation. I didn't even notice after my first procedure with Dr. Wong. I showed up 9 months later for a follow-up for my first procedure, and he walked in, and the way he walks in the way that you sit, he's seeing your crown as he's walking in, and the first thing out of his mouth was, your crown looks smaller, and that was 9 months. I never really paid attention to it. I didn't notice it, but he swore it up and down, and the photos, I recall the photos showed that as well. But different people have a different reaction as far as, like, if you get 10 people that have a positive reaction, have some sort of noticeable improvement, it's going to be different across the board, every one of them. Some might see improvements like Spencer did at 3 months. Some might take a year. The efficacy is supposed to continue to improve for up to 2 years, roughly 24 months based on some studies. But, I mean, it doesn't mean that you're going to have to wait that long. Some people will continue to have improvements for that long before it supposedly plateaus. But it just goes to show you that there's a whole range of responses, both positive and negative. But if you stay in the positive side of things, there's a big stretch of differences with that regard. So don't be in a rush for it. I usually tell people that on average it'll be between 7 and 12 months. You'll see, if you're going to see an improvement, it'll be in that range. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. So just hang tight.
I gotta tell you, Joe, your new voice is like it's enveloping. It's unbelievable.
Is it like butter?
It is like butter, man.
It's like butter. Thank you.
Sure, got a new piece of equipment. That's
what she said.
It's working. No, she said Joe needs a new piece of equipment.
Damn it, I missed that.
That's different.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations on starting to, grab the reins and take control of your hair loss. A lot of guys are so terrified to do it that, they end up walking around with a plastic helmet on for 3 years, wishing to God that they would have done something else.
Trevor, let me ask you. So now that you've been on it for a month and you're not experiencing noticeable side effects, how do you feel about the fact that you waited 3 years and it was agonizing you for so long before you actually decided to pull the trigger? How do you like when you reflect back on that? Like, how do you feel about it?
I feel like I'm much farther back in my life in terms of my personal development and personal growth than I potentially could be. I'm a software developer, and I feel like I could have made so much more. So I could have made several good functioning applications by now that have made money. I feel like I could have had a lot more fun in my social life with friends, be less fearful, and I feel like I really kind of missed out on some prime years because of it.
And unfortunately, that's the common.
You're fucking breaking my heart here, man.
The common line that we get from a lot of people. I mean, it is an affliction emotionally. I mean, it makes you freeze from, or I guess pull back from your full potential because you're so obsessed, and maybe not obsessed is the right word, but you're so concerned and distraught over what you're going through. So
I was too. I don't mean to cut you off. I actually did the opposite though. I became like a man whore. And I just went out, got loaded, figured out a way to make as much money as I could.
That's what I did, except for the money part. But that's what I did after my first 2 surgeries, the really bad ones.
Yeah.
You do one of 2 things. You either this is a theory I developed a long time ago. When you have a bad surgery, which is kind of different from what Trevor's going through, but there's a little similarity. But when you go through the bad surgeries, you do one of 2 things. You either embrace it and just kind of, become outgoing in your personality to kind of compensate for it, or you withdraw into like a hermit-like existence, which is what a lot of people do. I mean, the baseball cap, the whole 9 yards. How many times have we heard stories of people saying, well, because of my hair loss or because of my bad hair transplant, I turned down promotions at my work because I couldn't wear my hat anymore.
Well, I went to the bars in the baseball cap. I just needed to be lubricated in order to kind of be myself. And that's what I did. I went out, and it was like, I'm telling you, I just remember I was a young entrepreneur. So for my parents, in their mind, like, okay, well, this guy's succeeding in life. But I just remember once I was staying close to my parents' place, and I went out with some old friends. I came home about 5 o'clock in the morning. My father happened to be up at the fridge getting something to eat. And I come stumbling in, and he just looks at me and shakes his head, and he's like, "You're not going to last, dude. You are not going to last." I never forget that.
You're not going to last. That's awesome.
You are not going to last.
He was talking about your hair?
Not my hair, my life. The fact that I was just,
oh God,
coming home and, and it wasn't even my home. I was going back to the old neighborhood. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, I have keys to the place, and I come stumbling into this poor people's apartment at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I just never forget that. And my father did say dude because I used to call him dude, so that's where he picked it up. And I just never forget that, man. And so I guess what I'm saying is I lived a life, and I was able to somehow function, but I wasn't truly functioning at the way that I should have been at that age. And I was absolutely affected by this in ways that's why I do what I do. Until I was able to turn my Achilles heel into my career, I wasn't fully whole. And being able to talk about this has been incredibly cathartic for me over the last 20-some-odd years. And that's really what helped me. So I completely understand where you're coming from, man. And I'm sorry that you went through all that. But, don't waste any more time. Don't waste any more time. You're doing something great for yourself. Figure out a way to live your life, because in a blink of an eye, how old are you now?
Just turned 26.
All right, well, you're still a kid, but in a blink of an eye, you're going to be 30, and then you're going to be 35, and then it's going to be like, why?
What the fuck happened?
What the fuck happened? There are plenty of ways.
Quarter-life crisis.
Yeah. Even if you're uncomfortable right now, you can still figure it out. You really can. I promise you. I mean, Christ,
that app.
Look at Joe.
Go develop that. Yeah.
I mean, not now. I'm talking about.
I woke up this morning, have my own crisis.
I'm not talking about now, dude. I meant, look at you. What you went. You were walking around with like 4mm plugs in your head, whatever, or mini micros, not 4mm, but you were walking around
not
like.
Quite 4, but yeah, 2 millimeters.
Literally, you were a man-made freak, and you were out there getting laid.
Good times. So the moral of the story is, dude, go make your application, go make some money.
Yeah.
Forget about, just keep taking your finasteride, your topical, and refocus your energies on being productive and developing yourself and making some money. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, for sure. Can I ask you guys, what do you think has been more difficult, dealing with loss of hair or dealing with like tough breakups with women?
Oh, for me, it was definitely hair loss.
Hair.
Really?
Absolutely.
Look what we do.
We
both made a career. It's like I didn't make a career out of being dumped. I made a career out of having a shitty hair transplant.
Let's put it this way: once you're past 25, to me, being dumped is just like, okay, next. You know, when you're a kid, it's more painful. You really take rejection like, what's wrong with me? Nothing wrong with you. They liked you at some point. Now they want to move on to something else, or they don't like you enough, or you're not marriage material. You're a good fuck, but, you know, whatever. It's fun to hang out with, but they want somebody with some, you know, who's driving a nice car. And that may not be you.
Well, it's not really like the self-esteem thing with the breakup. It's more like just the loss. There was something there, and now there's a void.
Listen,
you could probably figure out that I've been going through two tough things at the same time. One being the hair, the other. Yeah.
And that sucks when it's happening simultaneously, because now you're dealing with your hair. You feel like you can't move on, and you had somebody while you were dealing with your hair loss, and you lost her. It's fucked up. Believe me, I get it. It's tough, but the fastest way to get over old pussy is new pussy. I'm sorry if that's crude, but you gotta go out there and you gotta enjoy yourself, because especially in today, dude. If I was young today, first of all, I'm not young, and it's all over the place. But if I was young today, forget about it. You go on this phone and you have 20 girlfriends in like 2 hours.
So to give the Walt Disney version of what Spencer said, the best way to get over someone is to get on top of someone. Boom!
Yes, that's true.
I need to ask a question, Trevor. We got one of the members of the chat room is asking where you're getting your topical finasteride.
It's a pharmacy. It's a compounding pharmacy in Florida called Amex Pharmacy. Let me look right here. AMEX Pharmacy. They're in Melbourne, Florida. But I had to have. You don't go to the pharmacy. You go to your doctor. The doctor reaches out to the pharmacy and writes the prescription. Yeah.
Right. Now, I have a question for you as a consumer, and I'm saying this for a reason, because I was talking to a doctor about this. If you saw a topical finasteride or any product that actually carried the American Hair Loss Association seal, would you gravitate to that product as opposed to any other generic or whatever?
I would, because I know who you are, and I've been following you for 2.5 years. The average person, I'm not sure.
Well, that's a very honest answer, and I appreciate that. I would say that the average person probably, you know, well, it's a long story, but when you ask anybody about the American Hair Loss Association, whether they heard about it or not, they think they have. That is what I've learned over the years. But I know there's a particular doctor listening who I had this conversation with, who that's why I wanted to ask that question. So thanks for your honest response. All right, man, listen, congratulations. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sorry you're going through what you're going through, but I promise you, man, you're 26. Concentrate on making money now. In the next 4 years, you can be set. You will get anything you want in life. Any woman you want, anything. That's the way the world works, man. Get fit. Get your body in shape. Take care of yourself. Eat well. Hopefully you're able to save the hair that you have. But prepare.
Oh, yeah.
Prepare your body and your mind for success.
I will do the best I can, and if I fail, I will have no regrets.
Well, I don't think you're going to fail, man. Just if you're going to do the best you can, you're probably going to succeed. All right, man?
Thank you.
All right, you take care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Call back in a couple of months, probably.
Call back whenever you like. Take care.
Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye. You know, I try to be inspirational. I always use some sort of foul language. I don't know why that is. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
It's Maury from Florida.
Hey, Maury. Welcome to the show. What's happening?
Not much, man. I'm just enjoying this last caller. You know, it's funny. I remember being 26 and feeling all dejected about losing a woman and losing my hair. I remember being in that spot. And he's very lucky to be where he is, man, to be 26 and getting on the meds and all this kind of stuff. I wish I had done that myself, to be honest with you.
And then these kids don't realize that, and they're really lucky to have, you know, again, not to sound obnoxious, but to have a platform like this to talk about an issue that society doesn't allow anyone to talk about, and you know, to get really, you know, good advice. And you know, listen, this phone call, I can guarantee you, made him feel a little bit better, at least for those few minutes he was on the air.
That's what we do.
Easily. Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So how's your love life, my man?
Well, I rolled right over and I got back on the horse.
All right.
And I went out.
You really need to move on to women, dude. You really need to move on to women.
So I went to this casino bar in Plantation to see some live music, and I picked up this lady. She's, oh boy, how can I describe her? She's kind of out of her fucking mind.
Yeah. Well, listen, she's hanging out in a casino bar. So,
exactly.
Does she smoke?
Does she smoke? No, she doesn't. She doesn't drink either. But I mean, it's God. I don't even know where to begin with this woman.
She doesn't drink because she used to drink and now she is in some sort of a program, or she just doesn't drink. I'm just trying to get Maury, I'm just trying to get the entire picture so that I can tell you exactly. So I can tell you exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, so here's the deal. I would say she's probably in her 40s. When I asked her about the drinking thing, she basically says, I have a very addictive personality, so I can't get near it. She says I have a food addiction, and like she.
Okay, all right. Stop. The food
done.
Yeah.
As soon as you say if there's a food addiction or some sort of an eating disorder, you gotta move on, my man.
Yeah.
All right.
There should be a Morty-shaped hole in the wall, like in the cartoons.
Because it wasn't just okay. There are people that get past their eating disorders in life, and that's fine. But if it's an eating disorder mixed with the just the phrasing she used, I have a very addictive personality, and then she brings up the eating disorder.
Yeah,
you're setting yourself up for a lot of problems, my man.
all this because you brought up the issue that she doesn't drink.
Yeah,
everything unfolded right there in front of you.
Let's. I'm interrupting. I'm sorry. I'm kind of like giving you the crystal ball read. So tell me what's going on.
Talk about it because it would be good for a laugh, because that's what it was, man. So that was Saturday, and then Sunday I went to go see Bohemian Rhapsody, which, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it, it's an amazing film.
Great movie. I saw it.
And I wanted to go with somebody, so I made the mistake. Well, it was really a mistake, actually. I asked her out to the movies, and so we went to see that. And this woman, she was talking in the middle of the movie, man.
Oh, God.
What was she talking about?
Oh, just all kinds of bullshit. I don't remember half of it. I just remember her looking at her phone during the movie. And she's like, she says, I love music. She says, I used to be a singer and this and that. And, and when I was younger, she used to live in LA, and she did, she was in music videos and this and that.
So why did you say, listen, you realize we're in a movie right now. We're watching a movie. We can talk. We have the rest of the night to talk about this bullshit.
Was the theater sold out? Was it sold out?
No, actually, no,
okay.
It wasn't.
Okay,
it wasn't.
then what you're supposed to do is say, "Hey, honey, that's great. Excuse me, sir, what's your name? Bob. Bob, hi. This is whatever her name is. Go ahead and tell him I'm going up here to watch the fucking movie." And you leave her. I hate. Sorry,
wow,
it touches the nerve.
You
hate
got
that.
ice in your veins, Joe.
I'm telling you, it's like talking during a movie. And being a mouth breather when you eat. Shoot me in the face.
Yeah, well, I would say if it's a woman being a mouth, I've never met a female mouth breather.
I don't think she had that going on. No.
All right, so let's talk about her appearance.
Okay, so she's tatted up, which I'm really not into. She's Jewish, and so she had this she had on her.
She doesn't care if she can never be buried in a Jewish cemetery now.
I don't know what the deal is, man. Yeah. She's like I said, the woman is just she's out there, man. She grew up down here, Jewish parents. She worked in a hair salon. She went to LA. she doesn't seem like the type of person that had to worry about too much in life,
right?
Because she really hasn't appeared to have done much,
right?
That's pretty much what I can tell you about her.
She have a nice rack.
It was
Is
more
she
like
pretty. I mean,
yes, she did.
Okay.
So she's had her tits done. So
all right.
they're nice.
So that takes away one of the strikes. Go ahead.
Yeah, and she's got a nice ass. And she showed me pictures because she used to do modeling, and so she showed me pictures of her in a bikini from maybe 15 years ago, and she looked pretty hot back then. Now she's, like I said, she looks over 40. She looks like she's been through the mill,
right?
Basically,
Morty, you met her in a casino bar.
Yeah.
Okay. I just have to put that out.
Was she volunteering the photos, or did it just kind of come up in conversation?
Oh, dude, they're everywhere. They're like on her freaking Facebook page and everything.
Send me the link. No, just so I can tell you if it's in your best interest. And then instead of Follicle Friday, it'll be Gauge My Woman.
Not fucking put this on there, man.
Next thing we know, Joe's going to change his relationship status.
Not to a Jewish princess who was raised in Florida. No.
Married to single and ready to mingle.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a second, Joe. I'm gonna get this link here and I'll email it to you. But don't put this shit on fucking YouTube.
Dude, you said it to me.
Please.
Everyone's gonna know.
All right,
Spencer, he thinks I'm kidding.
All right. So let's and we're gonna take some more phone calls in a sec. But let's cut to the chase. So we already know there's some issues there. She's in her 40s. She's all tatted up. Most people that age really tattooing in general really wasn't. I mean, I guess 20 years ago it was in vogue already. But does her tattoos? Do they look old or new?
Started tat.
Does the tats look older or newer?
They could be fairly new. I would say maybe less than 5 years because the colors are fairly bright. So.
Okay, well that's another strike right there. You can forgive them when it's in their 20s, especially if they decide to get really tatted up. Now it's fine if a 40-year-old woman gets like a small tattoo somewhere, whatever it is. That's relatively. It's obviously socially acceptable. It's very normal. It's not addictive.
These days,
But when someone is totally tatted and that starts to happen in their 40s, I'm not a shrink. I'm not a physician. I just see that as a red flag. And
so
if she
I'm not going to marry this woman.
And if they're colorful, how the fuck is she going to have MRI? You can't. These people don't think about this.
So let's go down the list here. So you met her in a casino bar.
Yep.
She has addiction issues. She has food addiction issues. She has an addictive personality. She's in her 40s, but recently got tattoos. We think, like quite a bit.
In the last 5 years.
Are we talking like a complete back tat or something, or legs?
Well, I haven't gotten her naked, so I couldn't tell you. But like she had an ankle bracelet tattoo with a big Jewish star and
that's nothing.
Okay.
All right.
And she had and she's got the one on her, on her tricep, up on the shoulder. It's not. I mean, she doesn't have sleeves or anything like that. It's just a few of them, which that's all
right. And then we're moving into the fact that she keeps she's got images of herself from 15, 20 years ago, and let's be realistic, it's probably 20 years ago. All over everything that you've seen her on her Facebook, probably her phone. She probably showed you in the first conversation you had with her.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, the phone background. They very good.
Bye.
Oh, man.
All right. So how things end? Did you are you seeing her again? Does she seem to like you?
Well, she wants me to.
So when are you meeting her parents?
Go to this thing on Friday.
What was that?
Oh Lord.
She wants to what?
So she wants me to go to this thing with her on Friday.
What kind of thing is it?
It's more live music.
Okay. It's not like her cousin's wedding or anything, so that's all right.
No, fuck no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might do that. It's Spence. I'm just trying to get some company, man, because it's getting a little lonely over here, man.
Well, but here's the thing, you don't need to nip it in the bud. You don't need to cut your, cut your nose to spite your face. You just have to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand. Okay, these are the parameters in which I can work. I'm working in, and if I, you got to understand that there's some crazy there. If you could,
fuck yeah.
If you can tolerate that. And you can kind of pull the ripcord when the time is right, then you're fine.
Did you give her your real name?
Yes, I did. Oh, man, come on.
Do you have a fake license plate you can put in your car?
You just have to feel. You just have to know. You have to feel it out where you feel that you can when you need to get out. If you start to feel that that's not going to be a possibility. Then you really need to run. That's it. Yeah. Otherwise, she can be great in bed. You could have a lot of fun. You can go to shows. She could be, she maybe she's a good cook. Who knows? Maybe she is going to be good company. But that's
pretty much all I'm really looking for right now. So actually, that was the other reason I wanted to talk to you guys, and it has to do with Florida in general. And quite frankly, I'm fucking homesick, bro. I got a call from a recruiter who wants to bring me back. And I wanted you guys' opinion because you guys know me fairly well.
Dude, you call into a radio show. I mean, you're asking me for life advice on where you should fucking live.
Well, you never held back before, Spence. What the hell, man?
Well, that's true. All right, so what kind is it? A job that you think that you would enjoy doing?
Well, it's a step up. It would be a management position as opposed to line. They do me better than the money that I'm making here. It would, of course, mean coming back, but New York is a known quantity, and to be honest with you, I don't know. I'm getting a little fed up with this place.
Well, you're also when you're getting paid, when you're living and working in Florida and you're a resident of Florida, you're not paying state income tax.
I know.
And your cost of living.
But I took a small pay cut to come here also.
Okay.
I took about so in that respect, it'll be a wash because I'm going to be making about $20K more. So I think it'll probably be a wash in terms of cost of living and all that stuff. That's not really the issue, I don't think. It's more a question of whether I've given this place enough time or not.
Well, have you been there?
Since August, I guess, late August.
Well, were you enjoying New York when you were living in New York?
Parts of it. The reason that I jumped ship was in part because I got a little fed up with getting on the subway and all that shit.
Right.
But the other part was the job really sucked. And this job on paper looks really good.
Well, it was also because your mother was moving, right?
And she decided to stay back, which is one of the reasons I'm considering it because number one, I miss her. Number two is she's 82 and God forbid something happens to her, I'm going to have a tough time getting over there in case of emergencies. That's the other side of it.
Well, then to me it sounds like a no-brainer. You're out there, floundering in Florida, trying to figure out what to do. You feel lonely. You're homesick. Yeah. You have a better job waiting for you in New York. It's going to be a wash.
Yeah, in terms of money.
You know?
Cool. Well, I'm not going to pull the trigger yet. I got to go through the rounds of interviews and all that stuff. But you know what, man? I appreciate the advice. See, I knew you were good for it.
All right, man. Well, listen, man.
That's what we do.
I wish you the best of luck. And again, this woman could be you could have a great experience with her. You just got to feel it out. You got to know once you really see the crazy. I mean, the crazy towards you. You got to get out as soon as possible. It's okay if they're crazy on their own, but if it actually starts to affect your life, get out.
I'm with you.
All right, man.
Oh, and as far as hair is concerned, things are still going pretty well. And what else did I told you I was going to do the PRP for my ankle on the 14th of next month, and he's going to put a few drops in my head just for kicks.
All right.
All right. Good stuff.
All
I'll
right,
let
man.
you know how that goes.
Okay. You take care.
Hairy head and hairy ankles. Good luck.
Love you, Joe.
Take it easy, man. Okay. Bye-bye.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Oh, Spence?
Yeah. This is Angelo.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on. I want to get off my speaker. All right.
How's it going, man?
What's up, guys?
What's
Good,
up, buddy?
I'm doing good. Joe, I sent you a picture just now. Emailed it to you.
Oh, you did?
The back of my head.
The back
Check
of your
it out.
head. Let's see what we got.
So how are you feeling? How's it going? I mean, when did you have your treatment done?
7.5 months.
So your
On
last
the back
one?
of my head.
Okay.
The last one was October 5th for the front.
Okay. And how are things going? I mean, have you healed completely yet? As far as do you see any redness?
Perfect. It's perfect.
That's great.
I'm looking at
Anyway,
this
that last
image,
guy-
and yeah, you're done. You got more improvement to come. It's going to get even better after 8 months, but your crown's, yeah, it's looking good. What do you think?
Thank you.
You said you're
Me?
happy? Yeah.
I'm fucking ecstatic.
All right, you win. Let me see if I can pull this up on the screen here. Well, you can see you can see on the side here. Actually, blow this up a little bit. Pull it around.
Hey.
There it is.
Spence.
Yeah, man.
Right on. That guy before me got more problems than a math test.
Which one? You talking about Morty?
Yeah.
Tell me what you think his problems are.
I think he needs to get laid is what I think his problem is.
You know, I think that no matter how old we get, I mean, it depends. You know, I turned the corner a long time ago, and I believe, all right, if you don't have the person that's really great, hold on, Joe's fucking up my screen there. If you don't have the person that's really great in your life already, I mean, that's what money's for, man. Go out there, have a good fucking time. Don't get too involved. Everybody's fucking nuts to some degree. Don't let them in too much, and it has nothing to do with being emotionally unavailable. I hate that fucking term. The reason why a lot of guys are emotionally unavailable is because women are fucking crazy in general. Not all of them. So please don't think I'm some sort of what's the word, Joe? What's the word? I can't think of the word.
Monogamous.
I wasn't listening. Sorry.
Monogamous?
No, not a monogamist. I am a monogamist. I'm a serial monogamist, but Jesus, I'm losing my mind.
What's the context? Bring me up to speed.
A woman basher, someone who does not like women. Misogynist.
Misogynist. Oh, yeah.
I am certainly not a misogynist. I'm just a realist. And it's not just women. We as human beings, when we get together, everyone just goes fucking nuts. Once the penis goes in, everything changes.
The common sense goes out.
That's it.
Absolutely. You've got to get out there and lay the pipe and forget about it.
That is a sound clip. I gotta set that up. That is perfect. Absolutely. You just gotta lay the pipe and forget about it.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Just go out there and lay the pipe all you can.
Angela, you sound good, buddy. How's the hairline coming?
It's so early yet, Joe. It's not even 2 months.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm not even looking at that. All I do is look in the mirror to the back of my head right now. What do you think, Spence? Check that out.
I did. Listen, dude, it's impressive, man. Now you have nothing in it?
No, nothing.
Just show it to me again.
Let's see. Hold on. And there we go. Got it?
Nope. There you go. Dude, I mean, especially with your color hair, you're done. You are 100% done. How old are you?
67.
67.
Jeez. You win, buddy.
You look great, man. You look fucking great. You look like a guy with a completely full head of hair, man.
From a Formica head to that. Can you believe that?
That's unbelievable. You must be ecstatic.
Yeah, you should be. And like I said, it's only going to get better. I mean, you're 8 months, you got more improvement. It's not going to be night and day, but there's not much more improvement that you need anyway, right? I mean, if it stopped here, you'd probably be completely happy.
No, I went from a bald guy to a balding guy in 8 months.
That's the right attitude. Bald from bald to balding, not a full head of hair. That's the healthy attitude, my friend. Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I get a hard on when I look in the mirror at the back of my head.
Jesus. Another one. Another beautiful line. I have to isolate that one.
Hey, I got a million of them. I'm from Chicago.
Well, dude, listen, congratulations. You're looking great. I'm excited to see pictures of the front of your scalp eventually.
Yeah, well, I'm going to let it grow in a little bit, then I'll shoot it to you, Joe. Hey, what I wanted to ask you guys, I know I'm pushing the envelope here. What do you think about me doing a little topical finasteride, not oral?
Why?
Think I could do it better?
You're 67 years old. Why introduce a drug to your body, even if it's topical, that you do not need? The hair that you have, it looks unbelievable. If you sprinkled a little bit of white hair fibers, like Topic, it would be insane how thick your hair would be. You would look like, like Sam Elliott, for crying out loud.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, cool. It's just throwing it out there, but
yeah, there's no point, especially when you're older. Not that you're really old, because you sound like you're in good shape, and just judging from your scalp, you look well. That's how do I know? But I'm sure you're doing fine. Why introduce anything new into your body that you don't really need? That's how I feel about it.
You're not taking oral right now, are you?
No, I don't take anything. The only thing I use is the helmet.
Yeah.
The laser helmet.
You're done. Don't add anything else.
Got almost a 70-year-old guy walking around with a fucking laser helmet on.
You don't walk out in public with that thing on, do you?
No, I got a picture of me sitting on my couch with my 120-pound bulldog sitting next to me.
That's with a laser helmet. Well, you know what's funny? When you're 70, you actually can walk around with your laser helmet in the street.
Oh, you can walk around with your dick hanging out. What's the difference?
Angelo from Chicago, man, thanks for calling. Congratulations, you look great, and I look forward to seeing your I was going to say full frontal shots, your frontal hairline shots when you're ready.
Yeah, I'll let it grow a little bit.
All right, man. Listen,
all right, buddy. Good luck.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for calling as always.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Hey, Marty, just lay the pipe wherever you can lay it, buddy.
Take it easy. 888-659-3727. What a cast of characters we have.
I'm telling you.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Oh, is this Spence?
It is.
Oh, hi. This is, sorry, it's my first time calling in. I'm a little nervous.
Welcome.
Never called into a radio show before, so.
Me neither, man. Me neither. So what's happening? What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name's Tim. I'm from Jersey.
Tim from Jersey. Welcome to the
Tim.
show. Thanks for calling in. What's up? What can we do for you?
Thanks for taking my call. It's really nice to talk to you guys. First and foremost, just to kind of with the theme of the night, and I don't want to harp on this because I actually do have some surgical questions, but
sure.
Yeah, I know people talk about like love lost and lost hair or whatever, but actually, my fiance left me during the onset of all this, as well as it losing kind of like my foothold into my career. So on top of getting a bad hair transplant, it's like been dealing with like the aftermath of all three right now for the past like year and a half. Yeah, it's like the hat trick of things you don't want to happen in your life.
You can ask us the surgical questions, but I'm curious, this is an important story. People need to hear it and maybe talk about how you're dealing with it. So what happened?
Well, not really to talk about her per se, but just kind of like, it's funny, what I do want to say before I kind of jump in everything. I will give you a little bit of backstory before I get right into the questions, but I've been thinking a lot about like in life how you see things differently at different times in your life. Like I remember.
How old are you, by the way?
Like I'm 36.
Okay.
So I just remember like 2 years ago, I'm staring in the bathroom mirror and I'm like looking at my hairline and it's like miniaturizing a bit, and I'm so unhappy at this time looking in the mirror, and I'm like would almost give anything to like better my circumstances. And then like you fast forward like 2 years later, and like I'm looking at my hairline now, coming off of a really bad hair transplant, and I'm just like, wow, like I would give anything just to go back to where I was like 2 years ago. But like, that's the thing about life, like you can't go back.
And that's the thing about life. I mean, that happens in many aspects of our lives. You know, we always think the grass is greener. And there have been experiences in my life where I just wish, man, I wish I didn't do that. Or, you know, if I could only be where I was when I thought I was miserable before. And that's a very common theme, whether it's with your hair or other aspects of your life. That's why I always tell everybody, when people ask me how you're doing, my line is always always the same. I can't complain. Because the reality is, as bad as you think it is today, it could always fucking be worse in everything.
Yeah.
So that's my philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little harder to like. I mean, I kind of blame myself for this because, you know, I was coming up. This was my second procedure. I was one of those guys, and I got a transplant done in my early 20s, and it was very impulsive and spur of the moment. Like I was way too young for. I kind of want to say I got bamboozled. This was like kind of the days before pre-Google, and you know, it was like early 2000s. So, but still, like I was young and dumb, but I still was kind of taken advantage of. I still think, in a sense, it was kind of. I guess both things can be true.
You were. This is an industry that has been built on exploiting the vulnerable.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah. So the first one.
That's how I got into it. Same story.
Yeah. So like it's kind of. I can kind of give myself a pass for that, but the second one, like a year and a half, is kind of on me, and just because, and I guess again, my life was kind of spiraling at the time, between my fiance leaving me and kind of stuff in my professional life, but still, like I didn't do my due diligence then, and I kind of bet on the wrong doctor, and with all the knowledge at my hand and at my disposal, I didn't use it to my advantage. So I kind of. As much as I kind of am angry at the doctor in a sense for like what he did to me, like I have to own it. And, you know, like this last one is on me, and that's kind of the hardest part of it.
Well, you know, and a lot of people have regrets and they've made mistakes. I've known women who have contacted me over the years, and if you go to like a site like Women's Hair Loss Project and you see it, I mean, hundreds of women who regret taking birth control at a young age because which is prescribed like candy. Because they flipped that genetic switch to start dealing with androgenetic alopecia at an early age, and it completely rocked their world, which it does. You know, I mean, and they regret making a decision that the world, the mainstream media, and our physicians tell us is a normal, common thing, a woman's right to have this and to take this, and it's. They don't talk about the potential consequences of fucking with your hormones at such a young age. So yeah. I get it. You know, yeah, you blame yourself, but the truth is, if the bait wasn't out there, and if people were honest with you, you were given the opportunity to step back and make a more informed decision, you probably would have made that decision. A better.
How would you say?
1,000%. Yeah.
How old are you again?
I'm sorry.
Tim?
I'm 36.
You're 36, okay.
30, yes.
And you had your second procedure how long after your first?
Oh, years. I had my first one when I was like 23. So like this, the last one was actually just a year and a half ago. And the only reason I had it was because I was kind of boxed in, you know, with the scar in the back. And I kind of always, the thing about it is when I got the first procedure really young, my hair kind of, even despite it was kind of a bad transplant, but like he only kind of made my temples somewhat crooked, and my hair somewhat thrived despite the hair transplant, if that kind of makes any sense. To where like it looked really good for the next like 10 plus years. What it did was kind of box me into a corner for when I started to have real problems. That I was kind of boxed in. I couldn't cut my hair. I kind of was in this position where it led me down to double down on this hair transplant a year and a half ago. And that's kind of, and since this last one was, now I'm in the whole different realm of just effed.
Okay, so the second one was tell us about the second procedure compared to the first. What's wrong with the second procedure?
Long and short of it, basically it was an FUT procedure, which kind of I wasn't banking. I always kind of knew I'd probably get another one, leaning towards FUE. I had a good relationship with the doctor. I'm not going to name his names, and my goal here is not to bash him at all.
It's not a matter of bashing, but there's nothing wrong with. I mean, look, every doctor out there has at least. Spencer says 1. I say 5 or more bad results or patients that think that doctor screwed them up or fucked them up or whatever, however they want to approach it. It's not. It's nothing to. I don't think it's anything to shy away from. I think doctors should be very open about this fact, because that means they'll have better patients in the long run if they do. But I get it. You don't want to slam them, but you're not actually slamming them because it's your experience and it's your right to express it. As long as you're not saying he came in drunk and all this shit. You can't say that.
No, definitely not. I don't want to make it like a referendum on him as a doctor per se. Like maybe my occurrence with him is an outlier. Maybe for the majority, everyone goes in there and has a wonderful procedure and experience. But for me, like I've kind of lost the last year or so of my life because of this. And like I know you guys have talked about when you have a bad transplant, you can go one of two ways. You can go, kind of inclusive, kind of introvert yourself, or kind of the opposite of the spectrum, like Spence was saying. So like, and I'm on the one end where like I've secluded myself, and it's been a tough year. But
yeah. So you went back to the same doctor? Is that what you said?
No. I'm not. I mean, I doubled down on stupidity, but I wasn't that dumb. But I actually
see. I was. Anyway, I did go back to the same doctor, but that's a different story. All right. So
I mean, because you go back because you and ultimately you want him to fix it, and you think he was, and like I said, that was like you're talking the early days of years and years ago. So.
Yes, because I'm very old.
Right there,
anyway, so yeah, so you're a year and a half out, and you had a FUT twice, correct?
Yes. This was the second one. So the most recent one, the one about a year and change ago, it was 1,000 grafts in the front and temples, and basically the long and short of it, it's almost like the hairline's done. It was taken too low. It's too straight, and it's done with, I guess, possibly the wrong kind of grafts, because like the hair is so pluggy and so coarse. It's almost like, and I kind of like have called it for the last like 6 or 8 months. I call it the wall, because it's basically what it is. I have this wall of like pluggy, coarse like hair that's like coats over the front. That's a totally different texture and look of my natural hair behind it. So it's like this wall of hair that coats over it, and it kind of doesn't allow me to really do anything with my hair anymore. I can't style it. I'm kind of boxed in with a haircut. It's kind of really just,
Are you pasty white guy?
Type thing. Yeah, I'm pretty pasty white.
Okay,
white.
You got black hair?
Which I guess could be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
coarse?
So it's somewhat coarse too. It's like the worst. Everything's like the worst kind of hair to probably get it if you're going to get a hair procedure. Like you don't want to have my type of hair. So it's just, it was.
Yeah, it takes a doctor with a certain type of experience to really address your kind of case the right way. But I mean, there's always different ways to approach the same situation, the same problem. But you're a year and a half out. It's too straight. It's the wall. Where are you? Like, how's it affecting you? What's going on with how you doing?
This will kind of jump into the questions I'm about to ask. So, like, I will say about the last surgery, the last doctor that performed the surgery. The only thing I was really disappointed was kind of like post-surgery. When I started having these issues and problems, I was in like an open correspondence with him. And one of the issues I was having is like the condition of the skin and where he put the grafts over like the skin. I mean, he put the grafts a little too low, but the skin underneath in certain areas of my head is definitely compromised. I mean, I can feel some ridging and some. It's almost like if you go into Wawa and pick up like a bag of like M&Ms or like peanut M&Ms in a sense. Like it's almost like there's one side of my temple that's like, you know, kind of lumpy and just not great. So I remember.
Does it look like the peel of an orange?
I don't know. I can't really tell.
Not the color, but the texture.
Yeah, somewhat. Like I knew there was something up just because, you know, post surgery this time, you're in your shower, you're washing your hair, and you feel your scalp. You think there's something, like there was something different to it. Like, you know, it's like it just felt raised. It was a problem. Yeah. So when I went to him with these concerns, he had me come up, and it's like a 4-hour ride from Jersey to New York, and that's where he's up and located. So he was very, very just dismissive. Like I got in there and I saw him and he, you know, I got in there. He looked at my scalp and felt. He's like, "Oh no, you're good." It was just very like, "Oh no, everything's fine. You're good. No problems at all." And I'm just like, I'm trusting this guy. So I'm like, "Oh, all right." And
what did his partner think?
I mean, I never actually saw his partner. It was just him. Okay. So then when that was the precursor. This is actually before the graft started growing in. So when the graft started growing in, and when I really started having the majority of my problems, because once I was actually really happy with kind of where my hair was actually prior to it growing in, because like it was the first time like that my hair was kind of shaved down with the procedure. So it was the first time like I actually had just full access to my whole natural hair. So it was actually like it was thinned out and somewhat, and you know, and further back, but it actually looked pretty freaking great. And then, like, once these grafts started growing in, I actually obviously started having all the problems. But it was when I started having all the problems and going up to see him, he was, you know, even prior to, like, the ridging and the skin conditions, when I went up there and it was about, like, just how things were going. And he was just very, I don't know if he was defensive about, you know, me coming in there for money and just trying to, like, you know, smear him or ask for a refund, which it wasn't about that. You know, I was really just asking for help.
Did you?
Okay, he was just very dismissive.
Did you bring up the issue of money at all in your conversation?
No. I actually went in there and I was almost in tears. I said, "Listen, I'm not here for ask for a refund or ask for money back. I'm really just here for help." And his words were just like, "I think you look great." I mean, he was basically telling me like it was a massive success. And I mean, maybe and this will kind of bring me to the next, actually the question is the important part of this, but I mean, maybe in his eyes, this transplant was a success because, you know, I've never in my life had more hair, but like, I've never looked worse, if that makes any sense. You know, sometimes more hair isn't like
well, and
a good thing, you know?
Listen, I would say that there are, and I don't know the doctor you're speaking of, I don't know the exact scenario except for how you're explaining it, but that is part of the mantra. And everyone needs to understand that. When someone comes in who is unhappy, unless it is like a total disaster, meaning zero to no growth, just, you know, something really like, you know, objectively bad, then most physicians will say, this is what it's supposed to be. You look great. This is great. You're right on track. Everything is looking perfect. You have nothing to worry about.
The issue that I'm trying to figure out was, well, first off, how much lower is your hairline now compared to before you had the second procedure? Is it significantly lower?
I mean, maybe not significantly, but like when I have seen two. I went to see two doctors to get like a consultation to see like where I was at as far as repair surgery, and like both doctors agreed it was too low. So I don't really know the dimensions like to really say about how much lower it should be than it is.
You don't need to give me dimensions, but
yeah,
I'm trying to get down to the discussion before surgery or the discussion during the consultation before surgery. Were you dealing with a consultant or was there just like a doctor consultation?
No, it was directly with him.
Okay. So what did he tell you about how he was going to perform the surgery and how he was going to address the old work with the new work?
Yeah.
Did he say that he was going to have to lower it?
I mean, he didn't really. That's the thing. Like until like I got in there that day, and he kind of like drew it on, and I even remember saying something to him. This was like first red flag. I was like, listen, I was like, you sure this is kind of okay? And he was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, that's great. It's gonna be great. And I'm like, it just looks it looks a little low, and he's like, no, like this is what we talked about. We're going to be filling in the areas, and I'm correcting because the previous doctor that did the first one years and years ago, he kind of did make my hairline crooked, but he never really lowered it. He filled in like the temple area on my left side and some on my right side, and he kind of my hairline wasn't too straight. It was off. So I guess.
Okay, well, let me interrupt you real quick. So I just have to make it clear to you and to everyone that's watching and it's going to be listening on iTunes and downloads. There's no such thing as a perfectly symmetrical hairline. All hairlines are crooked. Period. Okay, and the reason for that is because there's no such thing as a symmetrical face. So if you don't have a symmetrical face, you can't have a symmetrical hairline. So anyone that's listening to this, I just don't want them to get the idea that because it's a crooked hairline that you had the first time around, that in and of itself created the need to get, quote unquote, fixed, right?
No, yeah, sure. That was probably poor choice of words on my part. It's he basically for the second procedure he was going to fix the first one and give me a fill in the areas where I was kind of miniaturizing in the front, fix the temple areas which were kind of off, make the hairline more better suited to my face is what we talked about. But he just went a little lower than I should have stopped it right there. But at that time I just I think you guys have mentioned in the past, it was like famous last words. I think quote unquote, I said, I trust you, and I think that was I said that to him exactly, and
So when you went to this clinic, did you go based on their reputation for I guess repair work, or was it just because of their work in general?
There's just good references online, and honestly, it was convenience at the time. Like it was somewhat close to me, and things that I'm regretting now. And I obviously looking back on it, like going into this now, I'm probably going to need to get a repair surgery done, and I am trying to totally do my due diligence, as far as what I didn't do the first two times around, and especially for the last time.
Both doctors that you went to after the fact agreed that it was too low. What else do they comment on? What else?
Yeah, well, I'll get into that right now. So I made an appointment with I had a consult with Dr. Cole. I made one with Dr. Cole and Dr. Cooley, and I went down to see Dr. Cole in Atlanta, and just to paint a picture, I was I'm kind of like a nervous wreck going into the room, just because it's almost I don't know if you guys have seen the movie A Christmas Story, where Kevin, he's going up to see Santa, and he wants to tell Santa that he wants a red rifle BB gun for Christmas, and he's so nervous of the monument of this moment of everything leading up to it that he stammering his words, he can't get it out, so he's up there and he chokes and he can't say anything, and he ends up getting shoot it down the slide with a boot in his face. And that was kind of sums up where I was. I'm in the office and I'm like, oh crap, Dr. Cole's going to come in, he's going to look at me, he's going to be like, oh my God, you look great, because you have to understand the weight and everything that's been transpiring over the past couple of years. And every time I had kind of gone up for kind of help with my previous doctor, he sent me back home oh man, you look fantastic. So
yeah, I can already tell you Dr. Cole didn't say that.
Yeah.
So when Dr. Cole walked in, and the first thing he said to me was,
"Who the hell did this?"
Oh my God, yeah, who did this to you? So, so it was equally demoralizing and wonderful, simultaneously all at once.
You got validation for your concerns.
Yeah, because I was starting to feel like I was kind of crazy, before, and so it was kind of nice to be oh wow, it was terrible because oh wow, I'm fucked, and deep down I knew.
But did I read that or did I read that? His exact words. Who the fuck did this to you?
Yeah, who did this?
Yeah, verbatim. I mean, it's quote unquote. So from speaking with him and basically he came to what we talked about before about it being kind of too low, too coarse, done with, he said, he mentioned it might have been done with instruments that were possibly too big. And as far as like the ridging on my scalp, he said, he summed it up to where as like, I forget the analogy he used, but sometimes when you have like a glass of water and you put a rock in the water, like what happens to the water? Like it kind of rises. And he says, in essence, that's kind of what's happened to your scalp in a sense, because like you have all these hairs put in, and it's kind of changed the dimensions of your head a little bit, and kind of what you're seeing from your scalp is the result of that to an extent. So
yeah, and just for a little clarification, what happens is if a tool is pretty big, then that can cause excessive scarring, and then when you're placing grafts that are in that may not be the ideal size, might be a little bit bigger than what they should be, just the sheer volume of that coupled with the scarring can create ridging. It can create the entire field of operation is risen up above the rest of the plane of the scalp, and so that's where some of that comes from. So it makes perfect sense. I mean, what he's saying, if it looks like they use a tool that's too big to make the incisions, that kind of puts things in perspective for me. So that makes sense.
Sure. And like it's weird because like some of the areas on my skin, like prior to like when the grafts shed and before they grow in, like my skin looked relatively normal. I know I can feel it, and obviously some of the areas of my temples, but like I'm hopeful because one way or another, I'm hoping during this repair surgery and getting some of these removed that the skin will look relatively normal underneath, and which kind of leads me to my questions as far as with the with the repair advice I got from Dr. Cole and as well as Dr. Cooley. The sum of it was to remove some of these via FUE, and I kind of wanted to get your take on that because, like, from all the research I'm doing, there's it's not a clear cut as far as it being a success. I know there is some extent of scarring, and I know Dr. Cooley and Dr. Cole even mentioned there was scarring, but from what they have told me that and for what they're going to remove or what they recommend removing, that it shouldn't be too drastic.
Was their suggestion to remove some of the grafts and then reuse them someplace else?
I kind of don't even. I mean, I want to get this. I need to get this strip scar filled in the back. So if they wanted to maybe use some of their for that, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I'm in the camp where they can throw these grafts in the trash for all I care.
That's the question that I have for you, because and I don't think that would be the plan, because I don't think there's any reason to core grafts out unless you're going to actually recycle them. Otherwise, you would do like electrolysis.
Which is what I was expecting you to say Dr. Cooley recommended, because he's very good at doing that.
That's kind of why I had the second consult with Cooley, because I know Cole is like a wizard with FUE, and I kind of wanted. I know Cooley specializes in electrolysis, so when they both came to the same objective conclusion that was basically the same, and Cooley did not recommend electrolysis, it kind of reaffirmed the fact that, like, oh wow, I probably need to get these removed FUE, because Cole really hammered home the fact that he wouldn't recommend electrolysis just because in my specific case the skin underneath might be compromised, and the lasering could compound that effect to some degree, I guess.
Well, I think yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say I can't speak to that specifically, obviously because I'm not a doctor, but also because I don't have the advantage of seeing you in person, much less, or in photos, much less in person like they did. But you're saying that Dr. Cooley did not recommend electrolysis?
No, two things he recommended was I guess basically cutting it all out. I think it was called excision. Basically, like the brow lift on your inner scalp, which is way too drastic. And he even agreed. He's like, "I'd be really drastic for you."
Okay, let me stop right there.
Sure.
Okay, I know it's drastic, but let me tell you something. I have seen some phenomenal turnarounds with hairline problems when the hairline was removed with a brow lift, or there are different ways to refer to it. It sounds drastic. It is in general, but when you're dealing with someone that has done this before, and they're good with a scalpel, they understand the dynamics of it. It is by far the fastest ticket to a clean slate, because it is literally a clean slate. The scarring is taken out, as well as the hair. All the grafts are, if it's in the right clinic, are examined, refined, and dissected using microscopes, and they're put wherever you need them. And the resulting scar, every time I've seen this done, this is not a guarantee. I mean, there's never any guarantees, but every time I've seen it done, it's a very fine scar that can be easily filled in with just a few singles later on, where it's not going to be 100% natural. There's no such thing as 100% natural with this procedure, but it can be a significant improvement from where you are now. Again, this is all sight unseen. I have no idea.
And it could also be socially natural, meaning from a social distance, no one would be able to tell there's something off.
Yeah.
Sure, too.
I'm a big fan of that procedure. Big fan of it.
Yeah. The good thing, what Cooley mentioned too, is that could still be on the table too down the road. Like even if he went the FUE route and kind of recommended taking out around about like 100 out from the front, which is just like a rough estimate. Like we don't know. We probably won't know until we get in there. Like the definitive amount that needs to come out. But he always said that like if that route would still be on the table years down the road. You know,
that's true. That's true. And the thing is that, you know, I hope that it was explained to you that even with FUE, going in to try and take these grafts out with FUE, it's not a guarantee that they're getting all of it, because many times there can be part of the follicle that's left behind. It depends on the procedure that you had before, and you know, where they stuffed in, and you know, the angles and all that stuff. But a lot of times, even if you go in to have 100 grafts taken out, you might have 15 grow back. So you might have to go back into the same area more than once to get the job done completely. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
And it was probably explained to you. But even with FUE, to take these grafts out, the amount of scarring, it depends on how you heal. It depends on how your skin takes, produces melanin when you go out in the sun. But usually it's cosmetically acceptable. Even though you can see something, it's like no one has any clue what it is, if they even notice it to begin with, right? So you got options. You just have to understand that you're trading one problem for another. It's just the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it would definitely be an improvement, and that's what I'm kind of looking for. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking for some semblance of improvement. I'm just I was a little nervous. I wanted to run what you thought about FUE removal, just because there's so many doctors online when you do research that and these are kind of renowned doctors that openly talk against it as far as when removing grafts. And I remember even the doctor that I saw that put these grafts in, like the words that he hammered home to me, which was he was just no matter what anybody says to you, they can't get those off your head without major scarring. Was the last thing it was the last thing he said to me.
And I bet he was really against FUE too, wasn't he?
I mean, he didn't really. I said, because leaving him, I was like, listen, what can I do? I was like, what options do I have now? And he was basically there's nothing, almost, so to speak. He was like, you look great, but he's like, I wouldn't recommend removing them. He's like, anything you do to remove them was just you're gonna have a giant strip scar in the top of your head.
I'm just curious though. I mean, who's the doctor?
Spence, I didn't really want to kick his back in like that. I mean, it's just it's.
All right, listen, I'm not going to force you to. I'm just curious. Yeah. Well, listen, he's up in New York. I mean, he's up in the Long Island area. He's in the Long Island area. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So and he actually pushed a strip on you.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's him and a youthful partner.
Yeah, well, he's not the person. The doctor that did the work on me was the youthful one, and he has a partner that's a little older, well known and somewhat grizzled. Good guy, but a little grizzled.
Yeah, and it's and to me it's
somewhat grizzled.
Yeah, and to me that's
somewhat grizzled. I'm painting a picture.
And what year did you have the surgery?
This was last year. This was last August, end of August.
Yeah, it just pisses me off, and I'm really sorry.
That's exactly who I thought it was too. By the way.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, and I was trying to get that out of it. But anyway, to me, it's so sad to kind of let loose a physician who has such little time on tissue on patients who essentially, in my view, have made a commitment to either go to the senior doctor or made a commitment to go to this practice based on the senior physician's reputation. And I find that to be repugnant and just something that I don't want to be involved with.
Did you know who was going to be performing the procedure before you actually lay down for the procedure?
Yes and no. When I went in for a consult a couple years back because I kind of always knew I was, based on the reputation, I was doing some research. This was like back in like 2009, 2010, 2011ish. Around that ballpark. I went up there for a consult with the elder partner, and then had a good rapport with it.
Fucking guy, he's younger than me, the older partner. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so then when I came back, when I actually was ready to pull, I was always in open correspondence with it. So when I was ready to pull the trigger a couple years later, because I didn't need anything done then, but like when things started kind of diminishing, I was like, all right, it's maybe time to pull this trigger. I thought I was getting the work done from him, but it was like, no, this guy's going to be doing it. And obviously I was like, whoa, wait. And it was like, no, like, it's going to be great. Like, don't worry about it. But, there was a lot of red flags during this, looking back.
That is really bad, dude. I'm sorry to say it. It's not here to make you feel bad because that was not your fault.
No, it's
terrible. It
definitely is, though.
That is not good. That is not good.
So, sorry, I missed that last part. So you went in for the surgery, and that's when you found out.
No. I had known. It wasn't. I walked in, and I would have. If that was the case, I would have probably left. It was like prior to like leading up to it when I went back initially for like another consult. Like I thought I was, going for one, and then it was kind of switched to the other.
You know what kills me about guys like this is, in my view, they go out there and they fucking preach online. They do all this stuff. They put out video, and they try to take over, these, online message forums, and they build this narrative that try to, and then we have a patient like you who calls in, and the reason that you went to this particular clinic is because of the long time narrative that was built, and then things are kind of, they're attempting to restructure things with different types of a narrative using different online assets, and I'm trying to be as diplomatic as possible, but it really angers me. It really angers me, and I'm really sorry that you have to deal with this. And I find it interesting that I'm glad Cole was honest and said, what the fuck happened to you, and who did this to you. And
that's why it's very important.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Spencer, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead. No,
that's why it's very, very important to, like, I can't make the same mistake. It's almost like, I don't know if you guys watch True Detective. There's a line like Russ Cole would say, like, time is a flat circle, and keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Like, I can't, like, with all the knowledge and at my disposal, and you guys out here, like, doing so much for people in my position, like, I can't botch this again. Like,
I can't tell you this, and I think this is common sense, but I understand why, you're kind of like all over the place with this because you're being told, 10 different things. But if the doctor who fucked you up is emphatic about you not doing something, I wouldn't worry about it.
No,
he already fucked you up. So I would not take his advice. What I would do is I would get as many consults as possible. If they all come to you with the same conclusion, you got a guy like Cole and you got a guy like Cooley, who are truly experts in the field with 25 years of time on tissue, then you're probably getting, and if it's consistent advice and you have a couple more consults and it's the same thing, that's probably the route to go.
Yeah, that's what my next question was going to be, like, to try to do a couple more consults, and then, like, when you pull the trigger, like, how do you decide on which doctor is it? Because
it's gut, man.
You guys will probably.
It's gut.
Yeah, that's the thing. I almost, in a sense, I feel like I'm guessing, and that's kind of scary,
You are.
Well, it should be. It should be scary because that's exactly what you're doing. But let me let me put a little bit of sunshine on this because I don't want this to be a complete doom and gloom call for you.
Sure.
I went through 2 fucked up hair transplants myself, and so I want you to know that there is hope. Okay, it's all fixable. It's just, you know, you need to understand that you're 36 now. You're still young. This can be fixed,
Youngish.
and everything can be turned around as far as your self-esteem, you know, how you look at yourself, you know, how this is affecting you. It can be turned around. So I'm living proof of that, and as are many other people. So I don't want you to think that this is a complete doom and gloom scenario, but you got to be careful. Stick with the basics, ask questions, meet patients that have had something similar, if you can. It's not always possible, but talk to patients. Like, you know, call Dr. Cole's office and Dr. Cooley's office and say, who can I talk to that's had something similar done? I know Dr. Cooley's got someone similar because I documented him on my YouTube channel when I was down in his office 3 years ago. Great result, electrolysis, but yeah, I mean, great outcome. I know Dr. Cole's done cases like this as well. So have them hook you up, at least phone numbers. And
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with, I mean, if you're going to pay for a surgery like this, pay to go meet people, even if they're not near you. Like, I mean, it's definitely worthwhile to, you know, hop on a plane and, you know, maybe do a 1-day turnaround. Like if you fly to the Midwest, you can turn around and fly back the same day. You know, go meet people, take them to dinner, spend time talking to them about their experience, obviously if they're open about it, and don't be in a rush to jump on board with the first person that says that they've got the answer, because they don't have the answer. You have the answer. They just have the suggestions.
Dude, that was extremely eloquent, and it was a very lucid suggestion, response, and just that was beautiful.
Thank you. I'm not drinking.
Yeah. Listen, man, we actually have to call it a night, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I hope we were able to be of some help to you. But my last words are, A, I'm sorry this has happened to you. It really does anger me when I think about this particular clinic and how things are currently being run. And just you know what? I am no longer available. I am handing you off to this kid who I trained, who's great because I say that I trained him. And, you know, love it or leave it. That's it. And it's very, I just think it's very unfair. I personally think it's extremely unprofessional. I think that when a clinic is based, the reputation is based on the years of work of another physician, at the very least, put that shit on your website. Let the world know. I no longer perform surgery. And just highlight this one doctor and his results, not yours.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much again. Could I ask you one quick thing before we go?
Sure.
As far as like with the FUE removal, so just to reiterate, you guys think that could be an option for me? Not something to possibly.
Again, I'm not a physician, but if 2 top-tier physicians say that they believe that it may be a better option in your particular case, they have both seen you. When I know that Dr. Cooley does a lot of electrolysis, then I would say it probably, at the very least, these 2 well-known, very skilled and ethical physicians believe it's your best option.
Sure.
I
thank
agree.
you so much for taking the time. I know I apologize for rambling on and gasbagging a bit.
No, don't apologize at all. That's what we're here for. That's what this show was about.
You got it, man.
You really sharing your story. So
all right.
No worries.
You have a great night, guys.
Good luck.
You so much.
Keep us posted. Take care.
I will. Bye.
Guys, we are not taking any more calls tonight. Thank you. If you wanted to call in, you should have called in earlier when we had a couple of open lines.
Too late, boys.
So, guys, we are going to call it a night. The website's thebalttruth.com for archives of this broadcast. IAHRS.org is the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. Watch that site, watch this space. The organization is evolving, And we've been doing a lot of really, I think, unique things that are going to not only help consumers greatly, but it's really going to help the field and those who are interested in truly practicing state-of-the-art hair transplantation the way that it should be, and those who are interested in truth in advertising, and those who are interested in supporting our message of surgery as a last resort, and who are not guys who are not pawning off patients to kids just out of medical school or residency. We're going to be doing a lot this year, and I'm very excited about it. 2000
pawning off surgeries to doctors that were still in high school when you had your first surgery.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to save it.
Well, a lot is happening in 2019, and the expansion of what we're doing is going to reach and positively affect the lives of a lot of people, and I'm excited about it. Let me get out Joe's website, hairtransplantmentor.com, everything Joe Tillman. You can check him out there. If you have any questions or concerns, he's the guy to ask. I get too many emails at this point. Also, the American Hair Loss Association, AmericanHairLoss.org. What else do we have? BaldTruthTalk.com is our message forum. Again, I always tell people stay off the forums, but if you're going to go to a forum, you can come to essentially the most trafficked message forum in the world that has no back end. And frankly, it's going to be very shortly the most trafficked message forum in the world, hair loss message forum in the world, period. That's what's happening.
Yep, very close.
And, but we're destroying anybody else that's actually really in the field. That's just the way it is. I don't know why I tell you guys not to go to the forum, but I appreciate you coming. It is a completely moderated forum, so there's no bullshit. It's a zero bullshit tolerance policy. You want to fuck around, you want to troll people, there are plenty of fun hair transplant forums to go to do that. But it's not going to be ours. That's hair transplant. That's Bald Truth Talk. That's baldtruthtalk.com. And Joe, give out the websites of those who are actually streaming or embedding our show as well.
We'll start off with hairlossexperiences.com, primarily a UK-based discussion forum, but being the interwebs, we've all got access. They support our message because they believe in patient education and patient safety first. Ironically, run by a repair patient as well. So he gets it. He supports us. He's not a psychopath. Go check it out. hairlossexperiences.com. Next up, we got bellycapelli.forumfree.it. It is the Italian hair loss forum, one of the largest in the world as well. Also, a repair patient, a great guy. He says he's just a guy, but we say he's a great guy. I've known him for a very long time, and he also supports this broadcast because he believes it, he understands it, and he wants everyone to understand the same. And finally, we've got international-hair loss. Hold on. Wait. International-hairlossforum.com. Why do I have a hard time remembering that? International-hairlossforum.com, primarily a French-based forum. But with any of these forums, using your browser, it automatically translates usually. So lots of great information there. They also support our message and allow us to broadcast on their web property. That's international-hairlossforum.com.
And you know, my hope is that as people see us as less of a threat and understand what we're doing, there will be more online hair loss resources that are willing to embed this program. We're not taking anything away from you guys. Actually, guys, we are probably adding some traffic. And if we're not, at the very least, the traffic that's already on your site, they're benefiting. That's what the site's supposed to be for, man. So fucking share your space. It's not a big deal. We share ours with everybody. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
I always hear a lot of guys calling in, and they're always like, down and out about their haircuts.
Sure.
I lost my hair when I was 16 to 17 years old.
That's heavy.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
No,